It's time for the weekly installment of the Reserve List Top 10 Selling Cards for Magic the Gathering, March 29th to April 6th of 2024. Today's video sees a lot of mid to high range cards selling, some lower Reserve List cards finding a surprising sales bump, and we have so much to talk about. I hope you don't go anywhere. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here, the host for your Reserve List Top 10 Selling Cards this week. Guys, a reminder, if you enjoy the Moxman's content and you want to see more of this stuff, all you need to do is hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell. You can also support this channel by just using my TCG Player affiliate link when you're shopping for Magic cards anyway. That link is found in the description of these videos. Let's go ahead and take a look at the number 10 card this week on the Reserve List. That is Mox Diamond, coming to us from Stronghold. Now, this card in the number 10 spot with 38 sales this week has a total sales volume of $23,939. Guys, this thing is huge in the actual output of cash going into it, but the sales numbers are still really low. And why is that? Well, the card costs a lot of money. It's not exactly a cheap, easy card. This thing costs money because it is desired by players. When Mox Diamond comes into play, choose and discard a land card or sacrifice the Mox Diamond. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And that's why it takes the number 10 spot. Now, that $23,000. The copies we see being sold right now are a lot of near mint, guys. These are stepping up. We have a real shortage of anything heavily paid and damaged, and that means it's the good copies that are being sold now. Now, our number 9 card comes to us from Visions. This is Sands of Time. This card's only $2.99, but it still had 44 sales this week, or $131.56. That would buy you 1/3 of a Mox Diamond. I know, crazy, guys, but you know what? It's a Reserve List card, and sometimes these cards start finding weird homes. Strange things goes on. In this case, the lady looking at that hourglass saying, is it time for the Sands of Time? Are crazy things going there? Because what does this card do? As an artifact, each player skips his or her untap phase. At the beginning of each player's turn, untap each tapped artifact, creature, or land he or she controls, and tap each untapped artifact, land, or creature he or she controls. Man, you're doing a reversal here back and forth. Be ready for stuff like this. Excuse the Moxman's voice. Because you never know what's going to go down when people start playing crazy cards in your games, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. This, of course, coming to us from Revised, is Wheel of Fortune, still making another appearance here as the sales are still tracking strong. In the number 8 position with 56 sales this week, or $17,639.44, sees that the Wheel of Fortune has a whole array of cards being sold right now. Everything from near mint, graded copies, heavily played, damaged, moderate, whatever somebody can afford, they're buying. So what does this card do? As a sorcery, this card says all players must discard hands and draw 7 new cards. That means you're getting rid of your entire hand, no matter how many, even if you have 150 cards in your hand, you're ditching them unless something protects you, like a Library of Lang that lets you discard to the top of your library. Always remember the old cards, man. They are great and fantastic. Wheel of Fortune is a must-have. It's on my must-have list of cards to own for Magic the Gathering. So it's a card you got to get your hands on if you can afford to do so, even if you got to trade in 2 Sheoldreds to get the job done. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our next card, and this is all due to Bloomburrow. Bloomburrow card, it's the Deranged Hermit, guys. This thing continues to sell copies. 60 sales this week, $3,361.20. This card is still trending upward in price as the stock dwindles on the availability of this card. That $56 price tag you see on it used to be like $16 just like 60 days ago. So this thing's almost tripled in value in that time frame. And this isn't the first time a card like this has done it. Always keep that in mind. So what do we got for this Summon Elf? It has Echo. During your upkeep after this permanent comes into play, you got to pay the casting cost again. But also when Deranged Hermit comes into play, put 4 squirrel tokens into play, treat them as 1/1 green creatures, and of course all squirrels get +1/+1. It wasn't much back in the day, but as squirrels have become added to the game, this card got pretty powerful and pretty sick, and there's lots of ways of recursion and bringing this thing back and bouncing it from the battlefield, meaning your army of squirrels just gets feistier and fiercer. You can't ignore them. Now, Guys, our next card is a surprise to the list this week. I didn't expect to see it here, but the sales don't lie. That's why we're checking this one out. It is the Grim Monolith from Urza's Legacy. $299, and it has a downward pressure on the price tag, but the 63 sales can't hide from me, and this doesn't include the Championship Edition sales, just the actual sales copy of the card. $18,837 in actual sales volume. These cards that are selling right now are moderate to heavily played, and only one or two near mints, so most people are going for the cheapest versions they can find, because that means you're going to shave off 20 to 30% of the value. So what are we talking about when we look at this card? Well, it's kind of interesting, right? As the Grim Monolith is a 2 casting cost artifact, it doesn't untap during an untap phase, but you get to add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool and use them as an ability as a mana source, and of course, you untap the Grim Monolith. Can you say infinite mana combo? I know you can. We can all say it together. Now, our next card is Brain Geyser from Revised Edition. The Brain Geyser is, again, on my must-have list. 73 sales this week, $1,379.70. Now, the copies being sold are all near mint. You shouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's some heavily played and moderates that get sold on a weekly basis, but when the card is still under 20 bucks, you might as well look at it as almost like a low-end investment that you know you're going to play for a long time. You know you're going to hold on to and kind of fire and forget it. You're just going to hold on to it. It's an iconic artwork piece. It gets played still a lot, and it has great value in terms of what you can use in the game. So what does it do? Well, target player must draw X cards. You can mess up a lot of people. You can help yourself out. The versatility of a card like this is always underrated, okay? People just think because it's under 20 bucks it's not good. No, it's a great card, and it used to be 75 bucks during the buyouts. Never forget. All right, guys, let's go check out our next card today. I know, here we go again, Leisure Hollows. This thing's still under 6 bucks. And again, Bloom Burrow Alert. This is a Bloom Burrow Alert card. This is a Modern Horizon 3 alert card, just like we saw with Deranged Hermit. There's a chance for squirrels. And when there's a chance for squirrels, people get nutty. Get it? You guys got it. I know you did. So 80 sales this week. Average price of $5.74. $459.20. That 80 sales isn't even one Mox Diamond. That's the total difference. Now, could this thing go up in value? Absolutely. What do we get? What are we talking about? Well, it's a Summon Spirit. If Leisure Hollows is put into a graveyard from play, each player may pay any amount of mana to put that number of squirrel tokens into play under his or her control. Treat them as 1/1 green creatures, of course. But the idea is to wait for players to be tapped out, get this thing onto the battlefield, kill it somehow, and then, of course, pump out tons of squirrels where your opponents can't do anything, and then find a way to take an extra turn and let the squirrel army overrun them. It's amazing. Now, our next card. Guys, this is kind of crazy to see all these cards appearing, but it's just the fact it is. This is Psychic Vortex. I know, Psychic Vortex. I haven't seen this thing here forever from Weatherlight. Now, it's the number 3 card with 86 sales and an average price of $4.39 or $377.54 in sales volume. That $4.39 price tag, I was even surprised. I haven't actually followed this card for a while, so I'm glad it was brought to my attention. So when you look at a card like this from Weatherlight that's old, you're wondering if something happened to make it more playable. Well, there always have been a few combos this card can be played with. So, like, take a closer look at the enchantment. It has a cumulative upkeep of draw a card. At the end of each of your turns, sacrifice a land and discard your hand. But there's lots of ways of bringing cards back into your game. So this thing can actually be a lethal combination card. Never underestimate janky, fun stuff. But now we're going to alliances because you can't keep good Soldevi down. There has been some price shifts in Soldevi Excavations the last couple of weeks as the card has had an upsell. That means people like me buying more copies. Things on the live stream, the channel we've been doing here, it is actually having an effect now on the secondary market. Shows that market manipulation is alive and well. This 89 sales and the new price tag of $13.92, where it used to be $12.98, means that $1,238 of sales volume just happened. So what are we talking about? Well, when it comes into play, you sacrifice an untapped island or you bury Soldevi Excavations. You tap to add 1 blue and 1 generic mana to your mana pool. You can pay 1 and tap it, look at the top card of your library, and you may put that card on the bottom. It's an early form of scry. This is one of those cards I just feel you don't have to own it, but just why don't you? If you're part of my team, you're a part of the Soldevi Excavations team. I would love to see this card in every single blue deck. I just can't help it. This card's amazing. But that was the number 2 card. The number 1 card this week. Can you believe it? Do you believe this is number 1? Or do you think I'm off again? Do you think maybe I'm trying to tease you guys? No, it's back again. 194 sales, or $3,878 in sales volume. $19.99 is the price tag, so it definitely is shifting up in price. You've got the Tombstone Stairwell again, guys. This Mirage card is refusing to go anywhere. 2 black, 2 generic. Now, this thing, of course, because of its ability to make tons of zombies. So what does this card actually do? Okay, well, the Tombstone Stairwell is an enchant world with a cumulative upkeep of 1 black, 1 generic that says, during your upkeep, each player puts into play a Tombstone token for each summon card in his or her graveyard. These tokens are treated as 2/2 black zombies with haste. Now, they count as zombies, and at the end of the turn, if a Tombstone Stairwell leaves play, you bury all of the tokens. I mean, it's an epic card. I'm surprised it doesn't see more play, and maybe it's finally time that this card got recognized for how much zombie fun it can bring to your deck. Overall, the reserve list right now has downward pressure, forcing prices to try to go lower. But what we're finding is resistance. The cards are being sold. They are being bought in larger amounts than we've seen in a long time, and that means the prices aren't falling near as fast as people probably expected them to. We've had a lot of little tiny sales bursts here and there in this secondary market that is causing cards to kind of stabilize out further than we thought they were going to. Many people thought the reserve list was going to backtrack and start falling in price, and in some cases certain cards have. But the overall money that's moving into reserve list cards right now is a lot higher than I would have expected this time of year. Seeing the amount coming in now with tax returns starting to come in, we may see even further sales in the next couple of weeks as people start getting tax returns back in places like USA and Canada. So keep an eye out, because you never know what cards are going to start selling when people decide they finally get a chance to get a card they've always wanted with some unexpected windfall from a tax return. Guys, thanks a lot for hanging out. Thanks for being here on the channel. I will see you guys tomorrow for another video. And of course, later today, if it's on a Sunday that you're watching this, I have my live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys can make it. I'll see you guys later. Well, here we are at the end of the video, and you guys can see all these names just flying by, and they are the patrons. Whether they're a godly patron, a patron hero, an army of darkness supporter, or maybe they're from the Necronomicon page of the future. Maybe they're just waiting in a waiting room. These are the patrons who help make it happen. Thanks again to my patrons and YouTube membership members. Guys, you rock. You made it. You, your kids, your family, whoever's in the backdrop there watching this video, you're now all part of the Ramble Jamble. You are the true believers, man. Welcome here. I'm glad you made it. So, here we are at the end, and we're talking about the actual volume moving in the reserve list. It's funny how a Magic market can get oversaturated with too many products and a peak selling period. But in the reserve list, market saturation just means, the prices get forced down. And then somebody inevitably, they remember that these prices were lower. And they've gone higher. And they remember the highs and lows, the Warren Buffetts of Magic. And they realize that you shouldn't be afraid of those lower prices. That's the time to take advantage. And I think that's what a lot of people have realized, and they're starting to do it. So I'm really going to be interested. I really got to know what's going to happen the next couple of weeks to see if more money starts moving into higher end cards, because people get that little bit of a bump up from a tax return. The government has to pay them back some of the money they owe you. And you're like, hey, it's all been consolidated into one little check here. I can finally go out and buy the card I want. That's where I think things are going to move. Either way, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out on the channel. Can't wait to see you guys on the live stream. It's going to be epic to see what happens the next few weeks. And yeah, keep your eye on Deranged Hermit and Legion Hollows, because that's just going to keep happening. It's going to be funny. Can Legion Hollows hit 15 bucks? That's what I'm kind of curious to see. If they give us squirrels, it might even go higher. All right, have a great one. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys soon.